I was watching a video with my husband. We've been married for 14 years and we have 3 children together. He has always been a great husband in my eyes and a great companion. In that video at one point they mentioned Katy Perry's song. The song was The One That Got Away. It was a relaxing moment and he just casually said that he used to listen that song a lot thinking about his ex and laughed, but I know he instantly regretted saying that because I told him that the song was out when we were already married. He had ended his relationship 2 years before he met me. We had a little argument. After pressuring him a bit he admitted that while we were dating he was still in love with his ex-girlfriend. Even after we got married he was still in love. He saw her as the love of his life, but when they both went their separate ways he had the need to hurry things up and meet someone. That is me. I don't know how to explain it. Has anyone ever seen those series where first you see the beautiful point of view of one character and then the dark point of view of another? That's how I felt. I was really in love with him from the beginning. It all seemed rushed to me, but in my silly mind it was because we were madly in love. But he just used me to forget her. I cried and felt pathetic. He asked me for forgiveness 1,000 times, telling me that a while after we were married he started to love me. He told me that I am the love of his life, that he feels like an idiot. Maybe I'm exaggerating? But it breaks my heart to know that it took him years to love me. He used me like rehab and I feel like I was a fool in love while he thought about his ex. We have been sleeping in separate beds. We cannot afford anything like couples therapy. I feel too hurt. Every time I see him I can only think of him thinking of her every time we were together. Of him thinking of her when we got married. Of him thinking about her when we slept together. I can only think of me being a fool in love and him crying for her in secret. He learned to love me? Why was it so hard to love me? All those times he told me that he loved him were lies? I have a hard time talking to him and not showing my children how sad I feel. I'm not going to let this affect them. Sorry for the bad translation. I wrote almost everything for the translator. I have a lot of free time while my kids sleep and I can't do it. Maybe somebody will read this and think what a drama queen, haha, what your husband did to you is just disgusting. He dated you, married you, and made you have his children while still in love with another woman. If he lied to your face for so many years, how can you believe him now when he says that he loves you? How can you know that he isn't lying to you about other things? How can you be sure that he won't just leave you and your children if that woman decides to come back into his life? He has already shown you that he is capable of lying to your face with no remorse or consideration for your feelings and doesn't see a problem with just using you to satisfy his needs and keep up the appearance of being a good family man. If your husband did what he did, he will have no problem replacing you with that woman or a shiny new toy or cheating on you. You really need to work on your exit plan, talk with a lawyer, and seek therapy. You deserve so much better than him. You deserve to be loved, appreciated, and in a relationship with someone who doesn't lie to you and use you just as a placeholder for another woman. Your husband just told you about the other woman because, in his perspective, now that you have 3 kids to raise, you are stuck and should accept whatever he wants and be a good, submissive wife. Update 1. I received many comments but I hated that thing of "but you're the one who wakes up next to him." He chose you. He's not an award that I have to be proud of having won and she's not my competition. Oh, he chose me. How happy I am to have been chosen while he's still thinking about another woman. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. To the update, I showed my husband the post. He cried a lot and he is not a very sensitive person. He apologized a lot saying that he would feel just like me if he was in my shoes. Many believe that it would have been better if he had never said anything. For me it is not like that. I appreciate sincerity and he knows that. Maybe I would feel less hurt if he had been clear about this years ago. He was 22 when he broken up with his ex and their relationship lasted 2 years. It's not a long time but it was very intense because of her personality. It wasn't good but he had a dependence on her that was not healthy, so it was difficult for him to leave her totally until they both finally went their separate ways and break up, but it was messed up because they still kept sleeping together from time to time. He knew he needed to move on, so he felt that by being with me he could forget her faster. He felt guilty for having feelings for me, but we started our relationship anyways. They had already been with no contact for months when he and I met. That's something I remember. He admitted that his worst mistake was not being alone because since they continued to see each other in a FWB way until a few months before we met, he was basically grieving the relationship while we were together. He said that he always felt guilty about it, but he knew that he loved me, but his mind was quite messed up, so he refused to love me because he was too confused and scared of moving on from her. My husband said that when he finally allowed himself to love me totally, he told me that he had always loved me but felt guilty for doing so, but he finally forgot about her and allowed himself to love me shortly after we were married. That was also the time when he began to go to the psychologist. He began to feel really embarrassed of himself every time he remembered the things he did, like thinking about his ex with that Katy Perry song. He told me that while we were watching that video he didn't really think too much about it since it's something that he has worked on and overcome. When my husband heard the song he just thought shit. I was really pathetic and thought it was funny to tell me about it, but he was such an idiot that he didn't really talk about the dates. Honestly? I believe him. He's like that and sometimes says things without thinking. He told me no, that he's not in love with her anymore and he hasn't had any feelings for her for more than 10 years, that he doesn't think about her or anything like that. He has learned to see all the flaws in her and how the best decision was not to continue with that life, not only for me but for himself, since even before he met me he knew it was an abusive relationship and he was just too immature and young to think that she was the love of his life. Husband read all those comments like he's going to go with her at the first chance he gets / he's cheating on you right now and he told me he never would. He asked me if he ever made me feel that he was that kind of man and I said no. Honestly, even now I don't feel insecure about it. I know him. This is the first time he's hurt me in over 10 years and I still know he's not that kind of man. I asked him if he had contact with her and he told me that he never felt interested again in doing that and wouldn't do it either because it would be disrespectful to me. Actually now I know more about her than him. He has already overcome the relationship and realized that he was being really pathetic and didn't want it to be like those in the comments who are 60 years old and still idealize the past. Going to the most important thing. No, I'm not going back to him right now. I think he loves me? Yes. I think he doesn't think about her anymore? Yes. But he doesn't mean he didn't use me the first years of our relationship. And no, it is not normal to use one person to forget another. If you think that is okay, then go to therapy. Although that is something in the past for him, it is an open and new wound for me, so I need my time for reflection, so we are going to continue living together but separated. He told me he's going to do everything to make me fall in love again and I know he's going to do it, but for now I want my space to think and heal. He just said that it's his chance to start the relationship as it should have been from the start. In my first post when I said that I trust that he would not be unfaithful to me, many commented he's cheating on you and he only uses you as his maid to fuck. Open your eyes, it's quite misogynistic to believe that just because I'm a woman I'm already the one who cleans. I have never felt this way in the relationship and I clarified it in the post, but many insisted on that as if they wanted me to doubt about him, and it was like reading a little devil in my shoulder wanting to make me think in an irrational way. I literally received comments telling me that he was an abuser and never loved me. How is that going to help anyone? Even if it were true, there are less aggressive ways to say something other than sending me private messages calling me a maiden dog. I work and he put the house and car in my name years ago. I am not a submissive woman. I'm not the only one who cleans. Yes, men can also clean and take care of children. It's a job of two. I don't know what's so surprising about that. Even though I'm angry and hurt, I'm not going to make a false narrative that comes from resentment where I say that my husband is a manipulator who has me trapped on his hands when I know he's not. He's just dumb. I don't feel trapped in the relationship and I can leave whenever I want. I don't want to leave now and I want to heal so I can see what to do in the future with all this. I think a lot of people reflected their traumas in my post because the comments went from all men are lying shit, he's using you and we'll go back to her because my ex was also a lying shit to we men are like that. I think about my ex every day too. You're going to ruin your kid's life with this drama, so I stopped reading them. Generalizing about a genre, it's too old-fashioned to me and even sexist. Curiously, the comments that helped the most were the ones with less votes, so thanks to those people who actually gave a good advice. For now things are like this, I need my time to heal a new wound and he respects that. And now, I'm not staying just for the 14 years or the kids, I am staying because I know what he is like and because no one knows the reality better than me and who really does feel sorry and wants to make a sincerely effort. I am a mature woman. I am not going to let the irrationality of my hurt feelings cloud my judgment and erase the reality I've been living. I think some people here are too immature, or maybe they've never been in a serious relationship, because if the first thing they think when a couple have a problem is divorce, then it's quite worrying. Edit. My God, it's really crazy how a lot of people don't even read the posts and takes the time to understand before commenting. Even now there's someone telling me I'm a bangmaid as if being a woman automatically did that to me. But I guess my mistake was not saying what everyone wants, which is to paint my husband as a villain who is going to run with his ex as soon as he gets the chance. People are usually weird. They believe that seeing reality is justifying their behavior. Now on to second story. Girlfriend publicly mocks my stutter despite knowing my history with it, leaving me feeling betrayed and questioning the future of our relationship. I have a stutter and always have ever since I could talk. It was way worse when I was younger but has got better. I wouldn't stutter unless if I was nervous or overly excited, but normally I would block 1 or 2 times depending of the range of the sentence. Now that I've said that, I'll get back to the title. Later today around 5 p.m. me and my GF went out for the rest of the day. She was drinking but I wasn't, as I am still in university and I'm afraid to get drunk and do something stupid, so I just asked for some soft drinks like a Coke. A few drinks and she met some people at the pub and got along with them. I just said hello to them and asked about them, but that's really it, and was just watching football on the TV. Anyway, she was joking around with them and then started talking about me. I wasn't really paying attention to any of it until she told them I had a stutter. I was shocked by this, as I had always told her I wasn't comfortable letting people know I have a stutter if I don't know them. She then started making fun of my stutter, mocking me and telling me to talk so they could hear it. My mind went blank and I didn't know what to do. In primary and secondary school people made fun of it because of me. I didn't do anything as I was embarrassed, and telling on them wouldn't change anything, but it still hurt me a lot and would affect my self-esteem badly. My GF knows of this and knows what I went through and said she would always be there for me anyways. Hearing her make fun of me felt like a stab to the heart. I didn't know what happened to me, but everything went blurry and it was like I couldn't hear anything except from my GF and the people she met. I managed to ask her, "Are you serious?" and all she did was laugh and asked if I was going to cry about it. I didn't know what to do. After 5 minutes of thinking to myself, trying to regather my thoughts, I paid for my drinks, not hers, and gave the bartender a tip. She said she heard what happened and was sorry I had to go through that. I said, "Thank you," and left. Not knowing what to do, I went back to my flat and sat down thinking to myself. I put my phone down and was flooded with notifications from my GF asking where I went and if I was okay. She didn't even apologize for what she did. We don't live in the same place as we've only been together for a little under a year, but still we spent all of our free time together. 10 minutes later I heard knocking on my door and it was my GF. She said she was sorry and she didn't mean it and blamed it on the fact that she wasn't drunk. 5 minutes of knocking and apologizing, she realized that I wasn't going to reply back or even open the door, so she left. She knew I was there as my neighbor who I was good friends with let her know I looked upset and that she should check up on me. It's now midnight and I still don't know what to do with myself. She keeps flooding my phone with missed calls, voicemails and texts saying how she regrets making fun of me. I want to be able to forgive her as I normally did that back in school, but this time I couldn't. This time I felt betrayed and felt like I was stabbed in the heart by the one person who would never make fun of me. I still care about her and still love her, but I don't think I can ever forgive her and now realize how she can make fun of me whenever she wants if we get into an argument now that she has done this. I'm hurt by this, but at the same time I don't want to break up, but will never be able to forgive her. I don't think she has told anyone about this as no one else has texted me. Update 1. I work part-time at a tailor shop and had requested more time as I still had some time off of university. Unfortunately today I had work today. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go, but decided I needed the distraction, so went. As soon as I walked into the back, everyone knew something was wrong. This is because my eyes had turned red from all the crying I had done in the morning and from last night. I know it's embarrassing. I told them everything was okay and it was probably just my eyes being irritated, but they said it's not that, as I was a very joyful, happy and innocent person. Word spread around about something wrong with me until it reached my boss. He was a nice person who I considered a close friend. He asked me what was wrong, but I told him nothing. He knew I was lying, as he said I'm always a truthful person and a bad liar, and said if I didn't tell him the truth then I should go home and give myself some time to think. I didn't want to tell him what happened as I knew I would break down crying, so just said I was going through some personal issues. He said that whatever it is I'm going through has affected me badly and still sent me home. On my way home I walked into a shop. I'd why I did, but I just did. I looked at the alcohol aisle and looked through all the drinks, thinking to myself I need a break from reality. Since I had never drank before I didn't know what to do. After 5 minutes something switched on inside of me and thought I didn't need the alcohol, so I walked back out. This is when one of the problem occurred. I remember how I left my jacket in the pub I was in last night since I stormed out so fast. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to be reminded of the humiliation. I went though and thought people would recognize me in there. I had my phone and wallet as those were in my trouser pockets. I decided to man up and go to the pub. I went in and couldn't see it at first. My eyes were drawn to the area it happened and I started tearing up. I wiped the tears and asked the bartender if she had my jacket. Coincidentally it was the same woman from last night and said yes and gave it to me. Before I could leave she told me what my GF was doing when I left. What I heard just turned the knife she had already stabbed me with. She told me my GF kept making fun of my stutter, and when she realized I left she realized what she had done and left. As she left her new friends even said sucks to be that guy anyways. Walking into my flat complex greeted by the receptionist who asked IW as okay. Again because of my eyes being red. I said everything was fine. She then brought up my GF, which then I started tearing up again and walked up into my flat. As soon as I walked in I fell onto my knees and broke down. Again I know, embarrassing. Remember some of the comments people told me. I decided to text me GF. I'll keep this part short as this post is already long enough. I texted her saying I could never forgive her for what she had done to me. How she had betrayed me. Humiliated me. And made fun of my insecurities. I told her saying not to contact me. Don't come back to my flat. I then said we are done. And if she wanted to even have the chance of just being friends then she would respect my decision. I then told her that the stuff she had at my flat will be in the reception waiting for you and asked if she could bring my stuff to the reception as well. A few comments told me to send her this, so I did and told her if she had a problem with it then cry about it. Since she said that to me, and click send. Before I got the chance to block her she immediately responded. I'd how she typed that fast, but something she said caught my eyes. She said I was drunk and couldn't control myself. That flipped a switch in me. All I could feel was pain and anger. I went off on one and told her how I couldn't control my stutter and she knew that. She still made fun of my biggest insecurity. She even told me to say something so I could humiliate myself. When she knew I was hurt by this she still laughed. She knew everything I went through. All the childhood pain. All the bullying I went through. She even knew how I had suicidal thoughts as a child. I didn't say this in the first part because of embarrassment as I was ashamed, and to finish it all off I told her make fun of me all you want now as she was dead to me. I sent that and blocked her instantly. I chucked my phone across the room and cried for the next half an hour. I stopped as one of my coworkers who I would say was one of my closest and bestest friends knocked on my door. I let her in and she saw I was crying and just hugged me and sat me down. I told her everything of what happened and cried on her shoulders. Before any of you asked, I had not had any intimate relations with her. She asked if there was anything I could do. Since I trusted her I asked if she could get me some time off of work. She instantly said yes and said anything else. I took some thinking about this, and since she knew most of my friends if she could tell them what happened as I couldn't bring myself to do so. After this and when she left I took all of my ex's stuff to the reception and told the receptionist if she could not let my ex GF up anymore. She said of course and said if you needed me I'm here. I thanked her and left. After this had happened my phone blew up from all my friends saying how sorry they was that I had to go through all this. I told them all the same stuff and said it's okay but I'm still hurt and need time to recover. I thought it was all over until the receptionist knocked on my door and told me that my ex's best friend collected her stuff but didn't drop mine off and told me that if I wanted my stuff then she would meet me at a cafe tomorrow at 4 p.m. as I couldn't break up with her over text. I was annoyed about this and went in my room. Most of the stuff at her house wasn't important but one thing was. A watch. It was my granddad's watch which he gave me just days after he died. I took care of that watch and now my ex-GF had it and the only way I could get it back is if I met up with her. I don't know what to do now and I'm still in bed writing this all up and crying because the one thing my granddad gave was in the hands of the person who betrayed me.